Hey, what's up everyone? Coco Mojo here, back with another Rogue commentary. This was an 18 Necrotic Wake that I ran with my main team that I've been playing with on the Rogue. And it was a pretty good run overall. I was actually pretty pleased with how it went. I ended up getting a new dagger, and I already feel a huge difference in my damage. Between that and implementing some of the changes that I noticed from my previous reviews, I feel like my damage is a lot more consistent, and it's been really fun. Yeah, so starting off this pull, we just pull big, as I think it's like a pretty standard pull, and I made sure to put my flag on the Vanguard, because it's one of the higher HP mobs, and it's pretty dangerous for the tank, and then get into the Tornado, Dance Symbols, Shadow Blades window, and ended up just mostly spending all of my combo points on Black Powder. I'm okay with spending combo points on Black Powder in this pull because there's no one mob that has just much higher HP than the others, so I figure I might as well get as much overall damage as I can. Here I ended up getting kind of stuck on that big glove thing. Also, I've been noticing like a problem where sometimes I'll get pulled out of stealth when I put Tricks of the Trade on my tank. I don't know if it's like a mistake that I'm making or what exactly is going on there, but I gotta figure that one out too. I decide to stun the Vanguard. I'm thinking I want to Shiv to get rid of some of this raging, but I also know that the Vanguard needs a Soothe at some point. It's up to 10 stacks right now, and that's pretty dangerous. Yeah, one of the things I like about playing Rogue in this pull is, actually any of the pulls that have multiple Harvesters, is you really get to deploy a lot of your utility. Like I've used Kidney Shot multiple times, I've used Blind. It's actually really satisfying to implement all of that control on a pull like this and really save your team a lot of time needing to worry about these mechanics. Our Shadow Priest is kiting his Ruby Soul, trying to delay the buff as long as he can. I think he'll get maybe 5 or so seconds of Ruby value there. So I know we're going to pull pretty big here, and normally, let's see, I forget exactly what I do here. So I get Flag, Rupture, and okay, so here I'm being ethical and I'm spamming Eviscerate. And here you'll see I'm going to swap to Black Powder, and that's to try to kill these worms. Our plan is to just try to kill all the worms every time as best we can. So before the worms are up, I'm okay with focusing Eviscerates into the boss. We want to do as much boss dam as we can. But once the worms are up, we know we need to be killing those worms before they start getting stacks of Engorge. So I'm kind of getting into position here. I'm getting ready in case I get targeted by the puke. And then I end up using Evasion. You can completely avoid the damage with Evasion there. Looks like I have Flag. I kind of get thrown off a little bit by the pool. It silences me, and that definitely throws me off a bit. So I only get 21 stacks of Flag. That was definitely a mistake. I think if I just focus on prowing boss there, then I could have gotten more Flag stacks. I also didn't use my Shuriken Tornado, and that's another mistake. I have it for these ads, and I also have Shadow Blades, and I have Dance and Symbols, so I should be pressing Tornado, and then... Okay, I did that kind of backwards. I should have pressed Tornado and then Symbols, because Tornado costs 50 energy, I think, and then Symbols will refund 40 energy. So I can actually get into the Shuriken Tornado at near max energy. But by doing it the way I did, I refunded the energy, got to full, and then ended up spending a ton of energy on the on the Shuriken Tornado. Another thing, I switched to Blood Elf so I could get Arcane Torrent for the team, and it's been pretty useful, but I'm not implementing it in my rotation correctly. Like, I need to be, in cases like this, where I have no energy, like, I should press Arcane Torrent. Also, I've pressed Shuriken Torrent, or Shuriken Storm way too many times there. So we have tons of worms up. We made a mistake in fearing the worms, and this was, like, tragic. We just absolutely fucking choked here. This was crazy. We were doing so well, and then we feared the worms, and then couldn't cleave them down, so we had 2 sets of worms, and then one of them got max stacks and erupted, and we killed the boss just in time, but that was really bad. It's pretty much, seems like it's only viable to kite the worms forever if you have like a frost mage that's just permanently slowing them. But in our case, we kind of had established a plan to kill the worms, and then we didn't stick to that plan, and that was a pretty big mistake. Luckily, we had done enough damage to the boss that it worked out okay, but that was honestly more luck than anything. So I'm going into this pull with like almost everything, and I'm just full AoE right now, and trying to coordinate kicks with the team as well. So I'm setting the moon on as focus. Oh, it looks like I swapped to square. But yeah, for these pulls, again, when there's like no high HP mob, I'm just full AoE, and you just want to target whatever mob you want to do a little bit of prio on. And even in AoE, there's like a couple of things you can do to do a little bit of extra prio. One is maintain slice and dice. You can see here, I've got this this target counter weak aura right above my agility pot. And I'm trying to use this more to like make decisions about when like there's certain target breakpoints and I should be maintaining different buffs or different abilities. So like for instance, at 8 targets, like it's no longer a damage gain to maintain slice and dice. But you could make the case for maintaining slice and dice if you wanted to, say, do extra prio damage. And then in this case, you know, the only thing that really needs to die here is the Necromancer. I guess we have a Bone Carver and a Sorcerer as well, but really I can take this opportunity to just be funneling entirely into the Necromancer. And then once the Necromancer is dead, I can swap to AoE. And I actually probably should have swapped to AoE a little bit sooner than that, because you get to the point where the Necromancer is like the same HP as the other mobs, and it's not like especially dangerous, right? I guess it's like spawning more of the mages, and those mages are pretty dangerous, but in general, you want to be doing prio and then swapping to AoE once the high HP mob is like around the same HP as the other mobs. So here I'm just like full focus on this Marauder, and I sent damage a little early, but I knew that I had more damage for the shield. You really want to basically have damage for the shield, right? Because if you can burst through that shield, then you don't have to do a million damage to the Marauder. You basically just have to do the, you know, 150,000 damage or whatever it is for the shield. So my weak aura tells me via a BAM that I'm capped on Shadow Dance charges. I'm kind of torn here. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking these mobs are like really low. Should I actually send any damage? I'm about to cap on charges again, but I'm like also just like not doing any damage right now. I think that was a mistake, especially given what ends up happening here. We end up not really committing to a plan or like discussing a plan beforehand. We didn't have our shaman's little owl guy to repair this in time to do the Necromancer pull. So we decided to go back and get it, but we also asked our Warlock to set up a lock gate, and then he has to go back and try to get the orbs, and it's kind of a disaster. We're like now we're like, we want a Shroud, and we want to make sure we're using this buff. We have 45 seconds of it left, and we want to be able to kill these 2 Marauders at the end of the bridge, and then take the orb buff into the Necromancer, and it's just like kind of a disaster. We ended up wasting a lot of time there. I think we can improve on this a ton just by discussing the plan before the run. Like, this group, we've been having a lot of fun playing with these guys. So you probably recognize Better Toast from some of my previous videos. And then Provoid, he is the tank player I used to play with. And he's been playing Shadow Priest and a little bit of Enhancement Shaman this season. Still playing tank in some cases, but mostly focusing on DPS for this season. And then we met up with this other duo, Grixin and Archie, this Octavia X guy, and they've been duoing for a season or 2 as well, and then just pugging their DPS. And so we figured it's like we got a full squad. Like, I was interested in playing some DPS this season, and so was Provoid. He is a live lock on YouTube, and he makes tank and Shadow Priest videos. And then Grixin is also a YouTuber. He is making Blood DK content. So if you're interested in seeing tank perspectives of some of these keys, definitely check out his videos. And yeah, if you want a range DPS perspective, then take a look at Provoid's videos. So this poll, like, I press buttons, but like I don't know if I really needed to. This just died. Like, look at the Kyrian weapon damage. It's doing 140,000 DPS here, and then like we're doing like 10 or 15k, and it like doesn't even matter. And so I go ahead and get that hammer, and then I'm gonna get this spear as well. You want to try to kind of stack the spear and then hammer, so you can use them in the correct order. But so here our plan is to get the Vi relic. We want to take the Vi buff into this boss so we can get a shit ton of haste. Our Demonology Warlock benefits a ton from all of that extra haste. It helps him ramp and get his Tyrant absolutely juiced up. It also really helps our Shadow Priest as well. He scales very well with haste. So you can see here I went in and I basically pressed everything except Shadow Blades, and I'm full funneling into this Necromancer. And like, that's like one of my favorite things about playing Sub-Rogue is you will basically never top the meters. Like, I'm doing Kyrian weapon damage right now, but between all of the control and that like excellent funnel potential, it's really fun. It fills a really interesting role for the team. There's also like just the crazy mobility, and it's a very fun class to play. So looks like I'm opening with Flag, Rupture, getting into Dance with Shadow Blades, and I call out to my team that I'm gonna hold on Soothing so I can get all my globals in during my cooldowns. I would actually lose a lot of damage if I miss a global in Shadow Dance. You really want to be focused on getting all of the globals in that you can. And I make another mistake here, and like, we didn't really make a good plan again. We're kind of winging it, honestly. And so I used Blind on one of the mages because he's far outside, but we didn't really discuss what we wanted to do here. So I wasted Blind. That could have been used later on when we don't have Gorfien's Grasp, for instance, to CC one of the mages outside, so we don't have to deal with him. So here I'm coming up with everything again. I think I made a mistake here. Yeah, so made a couple mistakes there, actually. Ended up doing 2 Shadow Strikes, even though I got 4 combo points from the Shadow Strike due to pre-med, and ended up wasting combo points there. The other mistake is I missed 1 global within my Shuriken Tornado, and so I ended up overcapping on combo points. So that was a huge mistake. That's definitely damage lost. that basically... So my cooldown window ends just as the boss enrages, so I actually had pretty good soothe timing there. And we're back to full CDs, everything except Shadow Blades. And I'm basically in full AoE mode because we're thinking we're gonna kill these guys. Maybe I should have actually just hard funneled the boss. Because unfortunately our Shadow Priest gets hit by the frontal and then has to go into dispersion to live. And then we just don't really have the damage to kill these. So I cloak to immune it. And our Shadow Priest is in dispersion. I guess he presses dispersion there to survive the AoE from the ad still being alive. But that was another spicy boss. At this point we're feeling pretty good about the time, but we've definitely made huge mistakes at the end of these bosses. And I think on higher keys they would be depleting mistakes. Definitely would not be timing these keys for making these mistakes on higher keys. But yeah, I mean overall, the rogue's feeling pretty good now. I'm up to I think 254 item level. I have no tier gear. Actually, I take that back. I have gloves. I have gloves, which are unfortunately the worst itemized piece of tier gear that I could have picked. But that's what I got in my vault, so beggars can't be choosers. And yeah, like I said, I got a dagger from one of my keys. I've been trying to farm a dagger, because if you look at the Sims, main hand DPS is by far the most valuable thing you can get. It's outrageously strong. It's better than agility. It's by far the best thing you can get to improve your DPS numerically is just get a better main hand weapon. So I've been hard farming dungeons trying to get a main hand and finally got one. So up to 272 main hand, and that's been really, really helpful. I think this is my second key with the main hand, and I can already see a huge difference in my damage. So we call out that we're going to do a big pull after this, so we're all just sandbagging. And I think part of this was our tanks asked if we had damage, and I was 10 seconds away from damage, so we ended up just doing this break pull here. And so I ended up using a shadow dance without symbols, and I think that was a mistake because this takes way more than 30 seconds. Not way more, but and I guess now we're just killing the collector and then going in, and so that's cool. But now we've got all of our damage, and we could just go full AoE. Now on a fortified week, I would definitely be funneling the the Kyrian Stitchwork guy. I can't even see him in here. There, yeah, Kyrian Stitchwork guy. So he's one of the higher HP mobs in this pull, and it looks like our Warlock was hard prioing that guy. Our Warlock is doing huge. Actually, all of us are doing pretty good damage here, but that Stitchwork is now even with everything else. It looks like he just took a cleaver as well, which is excellent. So we're able to get rid of him pretty easily. We don't have a cleaver for the next pack Stitchwork, so I'm pretty sure I just full funnel on this pack. So I set the collector as my focus because it's the only thing that I actually need to kick here. And basically me and the shaman are just going to alternate kicks. And I should get into Shuriken Tornado here. There's no reason for me to not be pressing Shuriken Tornado. Yeah, so that was definitely late. And I could have overlapped that with my Symbols of Death. So that was actually a big mistake. I lost a lot of damage by not pressing that earlier. And so we're at this 5 target count now. You can see the target counter weak aura here. And so I'm not refreshing Slice and Dice, and I think that's a mistake as well. I should also soothe. Okay, cool. So I soothe that guy pretty much as soon as he crosses that HP threshold. And I also stun, or I think I was thinking of stunning the the collector, because he was also raging and just throwing flesh at everyone. And again, that's a lot of team damage that we just have to heal through. Yeah, I was just checking my prio damage there. Yeah, I think the big mistake I made there was not using Shuriken Tornado along with Symbols of Death, and then also not refreshing Slice and Dice. It was definitely a low enough target count that Slice and Dice would be value. I also end up making a mistake on this pull. I have been doing this thing where well, actually a couple of mistakes here. One, I managed to only get 22 stacks of flag. That's a huge mistake. I don't know how that happened, but actually, let me rewatch that. That doesn't make sense. There's like no reason for me to not get max flag stacks here. Full combo points. Oh, that's what happened. I hit Rupture and then flag, so that was backwards. Yeah, so I need to be pressing flag and then doing my full combo point finisher. I ended up losing 6 combo points there. That should have been a 28 stack flag. So I soothed that guy because I didn't think my priest was going to get behind the other guy in time. That was probably a mistake because I think he did land the cleaver on this other separation assistant. But oh, so this is the mistake that I make here. I go into evasion, and I've done this before, and it seems to work just fine. And I'm not sure why it didn't work there. I think what I just need to do is just vanish this in the future. Vanish is like, honestly, like just as good as evasion, even when evasion works. Like I've in the past been able to evasion that and then basically just stand in and keep doing damage until like the last hit, and then I'll just run away. But I think if I just vanish, then I lose a couple globals and I don't proc my cheat death, which is definitely value. So here I'm just full funnel on this guy. You can see he has 1.1 million HP compared to the 500,000 HP of all of the other guys. So I can either pad an AoE and do more overall, or I can be funneling eviscerates into this guy. And I get the soothe, that's good. And now they're basically all even. So I'm swapping to black powder now that they're all even, because I know that my Shadow Priest and Warlock are also going to be doing prio on this guy, so I don't have to full funnel. I can also pad for a little bit and have some fun. So here I'm just building up combo points. I should be refreshing Slice and Dice. I think actually at this point I should just hold the combo points so I can get a full flag. Oh, I think that was kind of a mistake. I definitely had enough time on the Slice and Dice to keep those combo points. I guess it's not a big deal because I get 4 combo points from my pre-med Shadow Strike out of stealth, but yeah. And then again, this guy is like the same as Gorgrind, right? He has way more HP than all of these other mobs, so I just am hard funneling into this guy. And then get the soothe, that's good. I also used my cloak there because I thought he was targeting me, but he was actually targeting my priest who was standing behind me. So I was hoping to avoid the spew disease and just not take damage from that, but that did not work out. So I'm going into this fight with all of my cooldowns, and I'm pretty sure I'm just going to use... Okay, so I actually send both Symbols and Dance. I think that was probably a mistake. Actually, it's not that big of a... Nah, that's definitely a mistake, because we get the and we're not going to have enough time to kill it before the boss comes down, and now I don't have Symbols of Death for the boss. I also just overcapped on combo points. That was a mistake. I just did it again. That's another overcap on combo points. And here I'm calling to the team that we're going back to the platform. So nice, we get it in. And then we sent 2 spears instantly, and that was a mistake. We should save one of the spears for the second pull down for a couple reasons. I guess the biggest that is unlucky. The biggest reason is we'll be able to reset the damage taken debuff on the boss, right? It's like a 20-second buff or 20-second debuff where you just do more damage to the boss. So I think we want to be sending that spear a little bit later on that second phase, but it's okay. And so here we set up basically this lock gate, and then I try putting tricks on myself and then throwing the spear, but it doesn't seem like it actually like redirects the threat, because I'm pretty sure we have some threat problem here. I don't remember exactly. So I should be okay, Slice and Dice is up. I definitely need to be refreshing Rupture. Okay, good, I flag and then Rupture, and now I'm in a Dance and Symbols of Death. Then I just used Cloak to avoid the Frozen Binds. I'm in my cooldowns, right? I really do not want the boss to have to get pulled away from me. That would be just really tragic. So saving Cloak for that case is really helpful. And I have cooldowns coming back up, but I get targeted by this Dark Exile, and I also see that my Warlock has his Tyrant coming up. He's probably setting up for the Tyrant, so I don't vanish it, because I know I can use my CDs on this guy. I'm gonna basically use Dance and Symbols, and I actually think that's a mistake. I think I can just use Dance and hold Symbols for the big crit buff after this. Because basically I'm going to fly this up, we're going to drop our puddle, and then we have a huge crit buff. It's like 100% crit for 40 seconds. So I drop this over here, and then we're just into it. And this is unfortunate. And luckily, the boss kind of stands still while the tank runs out. So I actually don't miss a global. But I do miss globals here because, unfortunately, the tank and I were not, like, synced up. And there ends up being this wall of swirlies. So I miss, like, 3 globals at the end of that window. I actually lose a lot of damage from that. And we don't have damage for this, so I use my hammer on it. Basically what we've been doing is whenever we see a shield come up, just real quick check Omni CD and see who has damage cooldowns. If we have damage cooldowns, then we're covered, right? Our goal is to minimize the amount of time that the shield is up, because it just does that pulsing damage to everyone, and it is very dangerous. And so I had some damage for this. I think I called that I've got a little bit of damage for this. And I get the Exile again, and I've got all my CDs coming back up. And so I end up sending the Dance and Symbols on this guy. I also vanish to get a bigger opener, and I don't know if that's worth doing. And I feel like I should have just held combo points there to have resources going up to the boss. I make a big mistake here too. This is kind of crazy. I don't really know exactly what. So look at our puddles. I'm like, I want to drop this over in this corner, away from everyone else, but I don't have sprint, And now I'm stuck over here, so I cloak, so I can run through this without being slowed and not take damage from that stuff. And now we're back into it. But I think what I should have done is use Door of Shadows. I have 2 charges of Door of Shadows, and I can either use that down below to cross that platform to get to the ad, or I can use it up there to get into that corner. But I am definitely not leveraging Door of Shadows properly. I think I should have saved Sprint, or at the very least use Door of Shadows here. But yeah, that was a fun run. We we definitely made a lot of weird mistakes for some of these bosses. Oh, there goes our Warlock. He used his lock gate to not get sent down, but it means that he will inevitably die. But yeah, thanks for watching. Yeah, let me know in the comments or the Discord if you have any questions or thoughts on how I could improve based on what you're seeing here. I'm, again, doing this mostly to improve for myself, and then also hoping to share my thoughts with you all as well in case you find them helpful when you're trying to learn Sub-Rogue. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions or ideas for other videos that you want to see, and good luck out there.